Looks like around 11 days and counting. Down, not up. What if you just stayed in this room forever? The melancholy glow of this mysterious device, your only company. What? What if you just bucked the system and refused to scramble about rearranging the deck chairs on the sinking ship to the rhythms of the indifferent string quartet who lurk just out of sight every moment of your life? Well, fine, but you'd still have only about 11 days before this timer ran out. Whatever that means. Hey, Byers. Look, Byers, regard the timer. Does it chill you to the core of your little birdie pigeon soul? Oh, you bet your boots it does. He doesn't say anything, but you're sure. Fear not, fair Byers. Joey Clare extraordinaire is on the case. Excuse me while I come up with my Zephyros voice. I've done a Zephyros voice before, but like I can't remember. Okay, yeah, I can do it. Are you worried about your time running out? You wonder, if you put this battery in something, like a toy or something, the particulars aren't important. Is This is just a thought experiment. Okay, the game audio is louder than me, I think. Shit. One moment. How's that? No, not yet. There. Yeah, that's better. Okay. You wonder, if you put this battery in something, like a toy or something, the particulars aren't important, this is just a thought experiment. Would it run out before the timer did? Also, is this timer counting down to something that will kill you and everyone you've ever loved? Oh no! Well, you have time to fully appreciate these pogs before... Okay, you're done. You wave a pet treat tantalizingly towards the timer. It resists your offer. It has a will of iron. You dance like there's no tomorrow. Wait, scratch that. You dance like there are roughly 10 tomorrows. Yeah. The possibility of some vague, quasi-imminent disaster lends your steps a heady moodiness. It's way too dark in here for you to turn your flashlight off. The hint function is currently unavailable. A busted up robot? It seems like something pretty intense went down here just before you arrived. Look. It looks kind of like this thing from your attic that brought you here. The force field is a pretty striking point of contrast, though. Maybe you can use this thing to get home somehow? Please? Go home? That didn't exactly hurt, but it was kind of tingly. You don't think you'll be able to reach the portal while that force field is on? It's a futuristic forklift. It's probably what moved that giant crate here. Oh shit. Oh, okay. It wasn't on anyways. Thank God. That was a little close. You can hear awful slams and growls coming from the other side of the door. You aren't even gonna try and open it. Look, it's some kind of weird electric bug? It seems to be trying to communicate. Maybe you should pick it up for a closer look. Nah. maybe I'll do some other stuff. You can't make me do anything. It's another gun. This one looks a lot more sophisticated and deadly than your paw's weaponry, which you left back in the attic. You think you'll leave this one where it is, too. Equip. You do not think so. It looks kind of weird, but it's still plainly a gun. You're unsure of this weird thing's purpose. Maybe there's something around here that you could use to make it go, or whatever. A futuristic-looking door in a gloomy, futuristic-looking bunker-like place. Maybe all the answers are through here? You have no idea how to open this thing. You don't even see a handle. If you had to guess, it looks like it's automatic. But the power seems to be off in here? You think. It's kind of hard to tell. Ooh. Another item. No. Crap. Oh well. I'll rub it on other things anyways. You pick up a hand-drawn, scribbled-on diagram of the portal, showing how the pieces fit together. If you hid inside this crate, you think you'd be nervous that it was somehow going to suddenly close up behind you. And you'd be left screaming in the dark in a slimy box somewhere and possibly far from your home. So you don't think you'll be hiding in the crate just now. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that different? No, it's not. 5, potential. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's do this. Come on, Byers. Alright, first of all. Yeah, right? The diagram does include a timer, but the numbers are different. They must be entirely unrelated. This diagram does not seem to incorporate pigeons, neither as a visual component nor as a recurring visual motif. And neither as a vital component nor as a recurring visual motif. You sprinkle some magic spice mix on the diagram in the hopes that it will reveal some kind of spice-activated invisible ink. Your hopes are dashed. I have Mrs. Dash. I have Mrs. Dash is like in the cupboard because of this game. It's pretty good. Mrs. Dash is pretty good. This isn't an ad. I just am like that. According to this diagram, your batteries could be used to... Okay. Time to come clean. You have no idea how to read this stupid thing. This diagram is way too visually busy. As such, it would be a pretty lousy slamming As such, it would be a pretty lousy slamming grid for your pog battles. Yes! That's it! All you have to do is jam some pet treats in between the gears and it'll stop working. Of course there's a force field to deal with. And you aren't sure how you're going to get the thing open even if the force field was down. And you've already been launched, who knows how far, into the inky blackness of space, marooned in some weird techno basement without any idea of how to get back home. And you're still so very, very hungry. And the kids at school are mean. And sometimes you feel like you should make more of an effort and relate to Jude, but he's so stupidly self-assured, and when you aren't, sometimes it's hard to be a nice big sister, and you resent him for that. And as long as we're on the subject, your babysitter's drinking is maybe getting out of hand. But once you get that stuff taken care of, pet treats to the rescue. Yeah, right? Fucking deep cut lore on this random interaction. I love this. It looks like someone already shook this to pieces. The steps seem a little too complicated for you to follow, At least without some dedicated study first. Additionally, it's some kind of detailed mechanical schematic and not dance steps, so that is going to be a bit of a hurdle. That was weird. Twitch recommended I clip this for myself. That's fun. Yummy bits. Did that... Here. Nope. Okay. A faded copy of a hand-drawn diagram, labeling the parts of the mysterious portal and showing how they fit together. Wow, this does indeed seem to be a diagram of this portal. For all the good that does you. Which is currently none at all. Byers regards the shimmering portal with the same dazed cluelessness with which he regards everything else in existence. He is endearingly democratic in his stupidity. You give it a little dustin with your spice mix. In a strange way, it makes you feel slightly better about everything. This thing doesn't seem to need any additional power. Just look at its sizzle. That is the biggest slammer you've ever seen. This thing ain't no treat, and you don't think you'll be petting it anytime soon. The portal is responding to your tap dancing. The force field dissipates, and you return home immediately. Wait. No, it doesn't. You were just caught up in one of your hallucinatory fugues of dance optimism. You guess this thing is protected by one of those rare force fields that doesn't power down just because someone did ballet near it. This robot seems to be cut from an entirely different cloth than whatever's depicted in the diagram. To put it in more accessible terms, it looks like one was made by Sega and the other was made by Nintendo. Keep Byers away from that thing. It could still be dangerous. The spices fail to make the robot even remotely functional or appetizing. It seems to be busted up beyond what some new batteries could fix. At least in death, it's immune to abuse from your stupid pogs. Something tells you that this busted heap of scrap isn't treat compliant. The busted parts rattle around just a little. So mildly, you could just barely see it. But it happened. Yeah, you're just not motivated to dance on this robot's grave. You pause. Maybe you could try figuring out what this thing is before you start shoving pogs into it or tap dancing on it or whatever wild ideal you were just entertaining. Same thing. So they just want me to pick this up. Okay, so that'll move the action forward. I'll use that to break up the action. How about here? You could perform a quick bit of ballet in the crate, like it was some kind of oversized, creepy music box. But there's already an oversized, creepy music box in the room, and you wouldn't want to gild the oversized, creepy lily. The slippery, goose-slick surface of the crate's wooden interior would serve as a lousy stage for the ribald staccato of your fancy footwork, and it's also pretty dark in there, so you'll pass. Wow. Pet treats? An enormous crate? All that's missing is some kind of monstrous behemoth to eat the treats and live in the crate and maybe eat you too, and oh man, you're freaking yourself out again. When it comes to pogs, it's hard for you to muster any crate enthusiasm. The crate seems to be fulfilling its functions as a crate without the alliterative assistance of your clumsy copper tops. You spice the crate to the zest of your abilities. It is now a spicy crate. To save time, however, you will still refer to it as a crate, if you have reason to refer to it at all. Byers, investigate the crate. It looks too much like a big version of his cage back home. If you sent him inside, you'd have a hard time getting him to come back out. To be perfectly frank, it doesn't look all that much like his cage, but he is kind of a moron, so you decide to play it safe. Yeah, it's all coming together. The portal depicted on this sketchy diagram was in the crate. And then, okay. That's all you got so far. Okay, so that's not doing anything with this door. That's not doing anything with this door, I bet. Oh, you consider sliding the diagram under the door, but it seems like it might be important, and the frenzied rip snorts and stomp kicks of the crazed beast on the other side give you pause, you mean pause. Byers is plainly freaked out by the sounds coming from the other side of the door. You can't blame him because you are too. Ah, what a treat. Pause. Creepy basement door with some spice on it. Just like Mama used to make, and whoops. Now you're sad and scared. You stick the battery into the side of the shed door and pretend that it's a doorknob. You turn it. It doesn't work. You guess you could have tried powering the mysterious door somehow with your battery, but you have no idea how to do that, and it probably wouldn't work, so you decided to fail in a more whimsical manner. You slide one of the pogs under the door in an attempt to placate the ferocious beast you hear on the other side of the door. If anything, this seems to make it more angry. You try to force a pet treat under the shed door to placate whatever wild monster is kicking up a ruckus in there, but it just won't fit. You feel kind of bad for the monster, but also pretty relieved it's in there instead of out here. You fire off a back Irish into a flea hop, but the door remains closed. Your ballet doesn't seem to have opened the door, which is really for the best, since it doesn't seem to have calmed down the angry monster on the other side either. You try to engage the forklift with a little pas de deux, but it remains in first position. Deux? Sorry, my French accent. You give the forklift some accelerando, but an acceleron don't want no part of it. But an acceleron don't want no part of it. No. Mush, noble forklift. Yeah. Treats, go. Run for the treats. Go, mush. Mush, you indolent beast, hath thee no hunger. Either this thing doesn't run on pogs, or its pog-based fuel tank is not currently empty. And the problem is something else. The forklift does seem like it might need power, but you can't find a place to put your crummy little batteries? Nice try, doofus, you mutter to yourself under your breath. Not for the first time. Your spirit nearly broken, you somehow struggle on. Guys, I think she might be depressed. Putting sugar in the gas tank probably isn't going to help. You can just imagine Byers driving a forklift. With a little, a hat, you guess, and... Well, his wings wouldn't reach the steering knob, plus the forklift isn't working, and... Okay, well, you guess you can't imagine it. You're no expert, but if you had to guess, you'd say the technology of the forklift and of the portal are pretty different. Let's pick this up. You pick up the flashing board. Words blink on the screen in an unfamiliar alphabet. For some reason, you can understand it anyway. Hello? Is someone there? Is this a chat room? If a moderator is present, I require some assistance, please. Yeah, right? Tetrarch. Huh? There was a huge explosion. Were you harmed? Thanks for asking, although I didn't see any explosion. Maybe I did, sorta? The roof of your hive is totally jacked. If you say so. Wait, you can see my roof? Who are you? What do you mean, my hive? Oh. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I forgot the code again. I'm really trying, I swear. It's just because I was so worried about you, I wasn't thinking, and it'll never happen again, I promise. What's going on? Nothing. All that matters is that you're okay. You are okay, right? Who are you? Where am I? Where am I? Okay, yeah, I know this one for sure. You're in your basement, right? I mean, you're not there. You're somewhere else. Oops. Did I say the wrong thing? Where do you want me to tell you you are? Who are you? I'm at Zephyros. Oh, no. That was a test, wasn't it? Okay, I know I just said it would never happen again, and I mean that starting from now. No exceptions to the code. I'm absolutely not Zephyros. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? It never hurts to be sorry. Zephyros? I'm getting that I'm in a basement somewhere. But don't you think we shouldn't say that? No. I'm getting that I'm in a basement somewhere, but you think we shouldn't say that? Yeah, that's exactly right. I got it right. Didn't I? Welcome. If you say so. I don't suppose you know what the deal is with this huge machine with the snakes on it? It's sort of like the one in my attic. Except the one in my attic wasn't so space age, and it didn't have a weird force field bubble. Attic? You know, down the hall, up the stairs? The highest room in the house. Oh, duh. More code. Sorry. Yeah, the secret weapon. I'm sorry about that, Tetrarch Damic. Secret weapon? Tetrarch Damic? Sorry, I know I keep messing up. I'm doing my best. What is Tetrarch Damic? Your name? I mean, not your name. My name isn't Tetrarch Damic. Of course not. Never know who might be reading. Oh, jeez, what was your code name again? My name is Joey. Right. I knew that. This was all my fault. I'm sorry. I had no idea things would go so wrong. Wait. What? I was going to ask you first, but then I thought maybe it was a quiz, and that if I had to stop to ask you, I would fail it, so I just put the battery in the weapon like you said. What? What are you talking about? I thought you left that weird paper out on the crate as instructions. Weird? Paper? Not weird. Great! The plan is great, Joey. The heiress will never expect it. I mean, I'm still not sure I get what it exactly is, but still. I'm just proud to be entrusted with such an important duty. Hey, let me get back to you. That doesn't interact. Hey, I found the paper you were talking about. So, what do I do with it? Well, okay, give me a minute. I know this. I'm really sorry. I didn't think you'd be quizzing me right after what happened. I swear I'll prepare better next time. It's okay. Wow. Really? Yeah, really. It's not a quiz. I have no idea what any of this means. Oh, jeez, is it a test? No. I seriously have no idea what's going on here. I've never seen this thing before. What is it telling me? I'm doing my best, but I don't know what you want me to do. Please tell me what you want me to say. So, this paper seems like some kind of schematic for the portal I just came through. It looks kind of familiar, not just the portal, but the paper itself. I wouldn't know how that would be possible, though. Anyway, is that right? This is a diagram for the snake machine? Well, if I remember right, that thing is a guide to the weapon. The weapon? You mean this snake portal? Oops, the code. Okay, yes, the portal. Can I unlock the snake machine with this? Is that what I should do? Unlock the snake machine? Oh, the Serpent Security Program for your Hive's Power Hexagrid. Yes, if that's what you want, Tetrarch. You can always do whatever you want. Wow. Well, that thing you said, will that help me get out of here? Exactly. You put all X fingers on the back of your tablet until the control panel uplink executes. X? 10? Oh, no. I'm in trouble. I did exactly what I'm not supposed to. This was a test and I blew it, of course. You remember, and I definitely shouldn't have said any of that. I'm so sorry. It's hard to keep up with these espionage rules sometimes. Okay, I'll just go check that out. I'm so sorry, Tetrarch. I'm just gonna leave you to whatever it is that you do. The diagram doesn't give you any insight into how the control panel functions, which is kind of weird because you definitely get a serpent vibe from the control panel, which is kind of weird, period. Byers lacks the sterling mental acuity necessary to use this control panel. He also falls asleep if you put a napkin on his head, because he thinks it's nighttime, so this comes as something less than a shock. You sprinkle a bunch of spice mix all down the control panel's most inviting crevices. It is now in 0.00006% less efficiently. You don't see a removable panel to add the batteries. Wait. Oh gosh, there it... Nope, wait. No panel. You try to jauntily flip a pog into the coin slot of the control panel, like it's an old-timey jukebox, but there's no coin slot, and also you accidentally flip the pog directly into your own eye, so you don't think you'll be including this moment in your hero memoirs. Oh, if only the humble control panel could be a pet. If only. If only! Ah, little panel, simple and kind, floating through life like a baby miracle. You would shower it in pet treats, if that were possible, but it isn't, so that dream is dead. Let's dance. You dance your heart out. The control kiosk is unaffected. Everyone's a critic. A cold, metal critic in a dark, anonymous basement. Everyone who doesn't like your dancing is that. No response. What a snobby little Philistine this control panel turned out to be. You place all 10 of your fingers on the back of the tablet and approach the control panel. Hey! Hey! Some kind of password entry program appears on the screen. It's the snake! I'm going to play a game of serpent. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-ba-ba. That one just said serpent. But it's on. Uh-oh. And there it goes. Oh! Hello. Hi. Can I run away from you now? Hey! Hey, Xerox! Are you there? I don't know how I feel about the codename Xerox. It's pretty close to Zephros, isn't it? Zephros. I mean, imagine I called you Damn It. Not that I would ever do that. Sorry. Okay, I don't really know what to say to any of that. Sorry. It's fine. Stop apologizing. It's actually really, really annoying when you do that all the time, FYI. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Joey. Oh. Sorry. Forget about it. I wanted to ask you about the security console. I played the game on it, but all that happened was a forklift drove straight into the force field and exploded. Whoa, your forklift exploded? Yeah, it's not mine though. Is it yours? I'm sorry I wrecked it. No, of course not. Or, I mean, do you want me to take it? Because it's broken. I wouldn't mind. I mean, whatever. Up to you. Alright. And then a weird monster menaced me into this other room, and there's only one door? This is kind of a bad situation. Weird monster. Yeah, that, deer cat thing. Deer cat thing? Are you having a fight with your Lucis? And not that it's any of my business. Lucis? Is that what you call that thing? I barely got away with my life. Wait a minute. Are you actually not Tetrarch Damick? No! I'm Joey! Joey Clare! I don't know what's going on. There's a bunch of big computers and boxes, and I don't know where I am or who you are, but you keep acting like I knew what I was going on. Well, what are you doing with the Tetrarch's tablet? What do you mean? This Trapper Keeper laptop? I found it on the floor. Oh, no. Is Tetrarch Damick there? Maybe I could talk to him instead. Please? Please give the tablet to Tetrarch Damick, please. I don't know who Tetrarch Damick is. I don't know who you are. Could you look for him, please? Okay, yeah, I'll just root around this room that's filled with guns! Okay, thanks. This door is all that stands between you and that rampaging deer monster. Yeah, right? Jake English moment. You can see how he's a big-time page. The way he goes, yeah, thanks. Fucking... No way! If you wanted to get killed by a weird monster in the basement, you would have stayed at home. Oh. Well, look at this. You don't know what any of this stuff is, but it all makes you extremely uncomfortable. Like the tablet, you seem to be able to read the text, but you'd kind of rather not. That's a lot of boxes, crates, miscellaneous containers, etc. Pretty mundane stuff, in your honest opinion. Not your first box stack rodeo. There's time codes? Are those coordinates? Are these space-time coordinates? Oh, that's big. I like that. This reminds you of Jude's dorky conspiracy theories. Although you guess maybe those weren't actually conspiracy theories? More like conspiracy facts, apparently. Yeah, right? I guess the same may go for all of this stuff, but geez, do these dorks always have to dig themselves into such a crazy bones hole, what with all the layered scrawls and everything? So many guns. God. Also, you don't really know what this is all about. You would kind of like to never find out, please? So this map, this seems to be a map, but you don't recognize the shapes of any of the land masses depicted on it. Or well, actually, now that you think about it, maybe they do look kind of familiar, but you're not sure where you would have seen them before. You actually do notice some weird aesthetic similarities. What with the twisting coiling stuff combined with the shiny plate stuff. You don't linger over these comparisons or anything, but you do notice them. You still don't want to... You don't want to show that thing to Byers. You'd rather not deal with his fluttery terror poops right now. Gross! None of that looks like anything you want to eat. It doesn't look like anything that anyone should eat. Ever. The big monitor doesn't seem to need power. And the weird thing on the monitor seems to be doing just fine, too. Whatever that thing is, you sincerely doubt it has a fatal pog allergy. You alone walk that path, it would seem. Should that thing cross your path, you don't think you'll try feeding it. And send this heavy, horror-festooned monitor tumbling towards you? No thanks. If you ever come across this thing, well, you just hope you have a chance to get warmed up first. Maybe the red dots are all cultural hubs, where you will one day perform your ballet for a crowd of admiring aliens. Or maybe not. Maybe you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. That screen looks pretty heavy and very expensive. Tap dancing it loose would be very hazardous to your health, both physically and financially. Man, what if each of those red dots represented a friendly pet who needed a nice treat? A cute idea, but also alarming because who's going to give all those friendly pets the nice treats they so desperately need? It would seem you have your mission. This seems to be a map, but you... Okay. The red dots kind of look like pogs? Well, not really. No batteries needed. This thing must have kicked back into gear when you got the power back on. What a strange, unfamiliar landscape. You wonder if the spice trade ever gripped this world in its flavorful maw the way it did yours. You only wonder it for like a second, though. You sort of got a lot on your mind at the moment. Wow, is this how Byers sees the world? From high overhead, his powerful brain calculates. You couldn't keep that up any longer. The sketchy diagram in this weird high-tech map clearly have nothing to do with each other. You're pretty much certain of it. The diagram doesn't call for boxes or bullets. Maybe because it uses kids for ammunition? It does fire kids out. That is what the portal does. Does the stack of bullet-filled boxes remind Byers of your attic? Does Byers miss his home? Is Byers freaked out from being shot into across space? No! Byers! Maybe you could grow some herbs and such yourself one day, but this is the wrong kind of box garden. What if you put the batteries in the box, and then when someone was frantically reaching into them, the boxes, for ammo, they, the someone, pulled them, the batteries, out instead? What a riot that would be. You guess? You could just dump these little trash discs here, but at this point, you feel like holding on to as much of home as you can. Just this specific point, though, you're liable to start hucking these things in the trash any minute now. You pretend the boxes are a herd of cute animals and stick a pet treat in the mouth of the nearest one. The others look at you expectantly. You have no interest in feeding them. You've chosen your favorite, and the rest must simply fend for themselves. Cruel. You really thought that would work? Although maybe it's better that it didn't. Considering these boxes are probably full of bullets and missiles and stuff. Yeah, it is how Lucai work. Wouldn't a box step be more appropriate? You give the huge steel doors a stirring performance, but the curtains refuse to part. Which is a good thing, considering there's a slavering monster on the other side. Well, slavering might be a stretch, but... Look, you're pretty sure you saw it slaver. You're like 60% confident there was some conspicuous slavering. Slavering? Slavering? I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. I should figure that one out. The doors weather your staccato fury with nary a tremble. You don't want to give that rampaging beast any further incentive to bust the store down and tear you to shreds. Which, obviously, is what it was intending to do. Right? Yeah. The doors are sealed together far too tightly for you to even entertain the goofy idea of slipping a pog between them. So you don't entertain the idea, and the idea doesn't really entertain you. When you played that snakes game, you seem to have restored power to this whole place. So there's no reason for you to go around jabbing your E-cell batteries at everything. Not that you'll let that stop you, of course. You could hit that deer cat with a snootful of spice mix to scare it off, but after what happened to the monster in your kitchen, you're worried that it might actually constitute lethal force. Byers seems to sense the ferocious deer cat monster lurking just on the other side of this door. Yeah, something about the smooth power of these twin doors reminds you a little of the Snake's Wreath portal in the other room. In both sleek sets, you see the paradoxical union of immutability and coiled power, immovable and yet ready to move with no warning at all. Let's answer this already. Did you find him? Please tell me you found him. No! Oh, no. I don't know what to do. What should I do? Oh my God! Why on earth are you asking me? What's Earth? What? Oh. My God. Jude, is that you? Is this another one of your stupid practical jokes? This isn't funny. No, I am Zephyros. Okay, Zephyros, tell me what is going on. I don't really know. I'm actually kind of upset because you're yelling and that makes it harder to think. I know I'm not very smart or good at anything, but I really am trying my best. I'm sorry. I can't believe this. I'm the one who just got shot through space into an alien nightmare horror house, and you expect me to make you feel better? Look, we all have self-esteem issues, but there's a time and a place for pathetic groveling, and it is not while I'm trying to be not devoured by alien monsters! Wait, you're an alien? I am 2 seconds away from throwing this disgusting joke machine into any one of several of the massive piles of armed and dangerous garbage around me. Wait, no, don't. This is so exciting. I've never met an alien before. I'm like seriously losing it. Most trolls never meet aliens until they go off planet to conquer them. What? Oh, okay. But like, you could be messing with me. Are you messing with me? The Tetrarch says I have to stop being so trusting. Oh, I know. Say something only an alien would say. I'm going to tap dance your sad little nerd body into the ground if you don't cut out the stupid baby nonsense right now. That's... Did you understand what I was asking? That was sort of a normal thing to say. No, it wasn't! That was not a nice thing to say at all. Sorry. This is all little nuts, and the deer cat maybe got me a little rattled. So, you're not an alien? No, I am? I mean, if this seriously isn't Earth, which, between the snake machines and the deer cat and the sci-fi technology, I'm willing to believe. Plus, there were some other monsters earlier, so I am having that kind of day. Monsters? Yeah, I managed to get past them, barely. Whoa, you're so cool. You're, like, on a real adventure. Wait, what color is your blood? What kind of question is that? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I just wanted to be sure I knew before I made a mess of things. Okay. It's red? Really? Me too! Awesome. We could even be friends. This is so cool. Hey, maybe I could even help you. How? The Tetrarch's Lucis knows me. He'll even calm down if I can get over there. By Lucis, you mean the deer cat monster? Yes. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Except, I don't know. I'm still worried this might all be a big test. A test? I don't follow. Sorry. Boy, it is getting kind of frustrating having to say that over and over. The Tetrarch is always testing me. If this is the final exam, the secrecy stuff... if this is the final exam of secrecy stuff and I blow it, he's gonna be really disappointed. Oh, I know. If you can prove you're an alien, I'll come over and help you out. I love how, like, my Zephyros is just getting more dude bro as he's getting more relaxed. I wanted that to happen. That's kind of just working. Do you want me to say more alien things? No, I mean, I have no way to verify if those are true or not. Okay, send me a picture of you. I don't have any photos with me. And anyway, how can I get it to you? I'm trapped in here by that monster. Aren't you using the Tetrarch's tablet? Take the pics with that and exmit it over. Exmit it. Pics? Exmit? Pictures. Transmit. Okay. That's kind of a weird ask, Xerox. But I'll give it a shot. Here goes. Right? Transmit. Well, Kai, for crossing over. Your name is Zephyros Trido. You are having a little bit of a difficult evening. Just one of many in a predictably difficult life. Because you are Rustblood trash. You've just witnessed reams of red and green energy erupt from the hive of your best friend, Tetrarch Damek, right before a squadron of Imperial drones snatched up half your neighbors. So it's safe to say your revolutionary efforts are not going great. Oh, and it seems you've received a package. I wonder what it could be. Tetrarch Damek says your really infrequent and unreliable Omniscuttle coach schedule is, quote, symptomatic of an infrastructure engineered to prevent caste mobility. And since you nod while he says it, he hasn't explained what that means. Outglut, a subgrub of the glader Outglut, a subgrub of the greater stem cluster of Thrash Thrust. Outglut is where you grew up. Tetrarch Damek's hive. You hope he's in one of the parts that hasn't been annihilated by massive beams of light? Look, It's a delivery from Scythian with the item you ordered. Quite a long time ago. I guess it arrived during all the confusion. At this distance, with your impotence, you're not even sure what you were trying to do. You'd never use your psychic powers on the Tetrarch's hive. You shouldn't draw attention to yourself right now. Weakly wobble the box later. You open up the package. Inside is the Flarp manual. This edition of Flarp is focused on spy games, intrigue, and rebellion. Tetrarch Damek modeled a lot of his underground resistance ideas after this system. Greetings, Agent. The documents in this file detail your objectives, page 3, and protocols, page 7. You must work, page 19, remotely, page 22, with your team, page 44, of Elite, page 59, Agents, page 399, to covertly, page 2050, infiltrate, page 99, Okay, you don't have time for all this right now? Wherever, really. It's absolutely permitted for you to use your real-life telekinesis in a Flarp session. Of course, yours is so pitifully weak, it's not like it's going to be an unfair advantage any way you sliced it. You've kind of outgrown Flarp, but no returns for Rustbloods. There's a really cool Flarp module about a city ruled by monsters who view the population as a source of food and cheap labor. Or there used to be a Flarp about that, but all the copies were burned and everyone who worked on it was called as rebels. God, everything cool. Playing Flarp was Tetrarch Damek's idea. Most things are. The door to your respite block. Respite block? Whichever. Probably respite block. You're standing on your Gander precipice. Yes, the music. This leads to your Gander precipice. Many a fine gander you've had out there. Good, honest gandering. White gloves, shoe polish, training silverware. Everything an involuntarily aspiring butler needs. Yeah, right? I figure that's appropriate. You don't need any help from Flarp to imagine what it would be like to have to train as a butler. All you need is your imagination, and the brutal, limiting caste system which prevents you from realistically pursuing any other path in life. Also, welcome to the stream, Sky. Feel free to say hi, or don't. You can lurk if you like, but I am going to call you out. I know, right? It's such a good track. Also, goddamn, this fucking thing keeps on being like, you should clip this. And it's just taking up the whole screen. Okay. You use these to practice your budding powers of telekinesis. You still aren't very good yet, but you sure showed these spoons who's boss. By defeating this pile of silver spoons, you've gained, let's see, nope. You've actually lost a bunch of experience points since the spoons are less valuable now than they were before. Whoops. Yes, that's right. Practice makes almost adequate. That is the Burgundy way. Your mind flexes with the pulsing might of your phenomenal telekinetic powers, and you bend a tiny little silver spoon without even using your grubby little fingers. You big tough guy. Better bring this along, just in case you run into any bent soup. You don't use your hands to bend spoons. You use the power of the imagination, by which you mean your weak, unreliable psychic powers. Bent spoon. Let's see. Okay, spoon, bent. See utensil, right? Utensil. See tool, tool. See weapon. Okay, weapon is listed on just about every page. Why is the index on this thing so terrible? You already bent this rusty little guy as far as you can. Any further and you'll break him. That's got to be a metaphor. Might as well hold on to this one. Who knows, it might come in handy in some kind of semi-contrived fashion. Not much you can do with it in high society now unless you can pass it off as a kite and scraper or something. Yes. You play pusher, of course. Burgundies are ideally suited to this position because of their telekinetic powers and their ability to commune with the dead players. Also, pusher is the most dangerous position, and no one really cares if Rustbloods get killed. Yeah, you're a good enough telekinetic to bend spoons, but you're not nearly good enough for it to be an asset on the Velvet. The Flirt Manual doesn't contain any mechanics for interacting with your poster. You would demand a refund if such uppity impertinence from a Rustblood wouldn't get you killed. Who doesn't love Arena Stickball? You managed to hang this poster without using your telekinesis. Or you guess what you mean is, it would have been cool to hang this poster using your telekinesis, but your telekinesis is very weak, and that frame was sort of heavy, kind of. Your Wear Grid Study Scroll. To be honest, only indigos really care about what fork goes where, and they crush anything they pick up anyway. You've pretty much got this memorized already. It's like fork, mega fork, micro fork, knife fork, fool's fork, and that about forks it. It doesn't match any of the spoons on the poster, not anymore. You should slip this bad boy onto the table at some high society dinner and watch all the blue bloods squirm. That would be a really funny thing to see immediately before being executed. You suppose the knives in your silverware set could do some serious damage. Too bad you're only comfortable handling the spoons. Some butlers are so skilled at telekinesis that they're able to set entire tables at once. Every rake prong and bile scooper in exactly in the right place. It's just... Yeah. It's still pretty awful. You can't get excited about butler life, no matter how hard you try. You're reminded of the week Tetrarch Damek made you sleep on the floor as a training exercise. It was hard at first, and maybe he could have told you it was a training exercise beforehand instead of just saying, sleep on the floor until I tell you otherwise. But it really toughened you up. You can sleep anywhere now! The Tetrarch is always making sure you're prepared for anything. You're not supposed to eat the sober slime, which is easy because gross. Why would you want to? This is roughly around when you might normally be going to sleep, but the current circumstances, you know, your imminent death if you don't escape, are not conducive to sleep. They are conducive to dying, though. One of the effects of the Soper Slime in your Recuperacoon is to keep your devastating telekinetic powers in check while you're asleep. Otherwise, you might lightly jostle things in your room while dreaming. You guess if your powers were more, well, powerful, this would be a bigger deal. Maybe that's why he was asking you to go off your powers. Or go off the slime. I don't know. Some FLARP modules contain optional rule sets for fatigue mechanics. You think that sounds exhausting. Arena stickball has always been the only time you really feel like yourself. When you're out on the velvet, your brawler defending you against the opposing prowlers and zappers, and you guess thinking about it too much makes you sad now. Looking at the dozer always helps you get to sleep, and looking at the snow globe always makes you nervous. You know it's not a real one, but still. You attempt to wrench loose the chandelier with a devastating blast of telekinetic might. You fail to succeed, but you do succeed to fail. Presumably. Oh, yes, sort of. It's much worse than that, though. What a daring dream. To swing in from your sports-themed chandelier and land on your bed, you guess? This is a pretty meager roleplay experience. You let the dream die. Sounds like a great way to electrocute yourself. You keep that in mind in case a less painful death seems unavoidable. Hey, it's your arena stickball gear. You play Pusher. It brings back fond memories of your seasons playing in the Grub League. You're trying out for the Thrash Thrust Junior League soon, but you're a little rusty. If you blow it, you could get called. Between band practice with Tetrarchdamic, Revolution lectures from Tetrarchdamic, and buttling practice, you mostly serve Tetrarchdamic, you really haven't had the time you need to practice. Speaking of, there's your brand new butler uniform. It brings back less than fond memories of when you ordered it sweeps ago. Delivery to Rustbloods like you was so slow. And hey, there's your Smash suit, from when the Tetrarch helped you practice cool action movie stunts. Your memory from that time's a little hazy, actually. You could lightly jostle your clothes on their hangers, but it doesn't sound like it'd be worth the nosebleed. All your outfits grant various stat bonuses in FLARP, of course, but they also come with heavy stat penalties, usually, always in your case, outweighing the bonuses. This bent spoon won't give you any trouble. As evidenced by your clothes, you have no problem with unconventional taste. Let's see, there's 1, 2... Ah, this. Every lowblood who ever picked up a mic dreams of competing on Slam or Get Culled. The winner leaves their unhappy life behind for fame, fortune, and the love of millions. The losers leave their unhappy lives behind for a relatively certain death. Powerful psychic lowbloods sometimes use their abilities to spice up their stage presence, something you've been unable to do with any degree of success. It doesn't really get the crowd on their feet to bend a spoon with your mind and then pass out. You're not sure which of these fantasies is more unrealistic. This Slam or Get Culled poster does kinda look like someone about to take a big bite of Grubflex. You'll never forget the season your arena stickball team took 3rd place in the Outglut Grub League. But just in case you do, this featureless white orb is here to remind you. That's terrifying. Why is it here? Okay, I guess we're not getting an answer to that. How terrifying. Oh god. It's your tablet. Use it for pretty much everything. Your auto-tune mic is plugged into it. The grubbles, the grubbles. If you buck, we won't trouble. To resist on fist while you sift through the rubble. It's the Grubbles! It's sort of hard to spit your quasi-revolutionary rhymes with any real fire while dressed in your butler uniforms, though. Damek says you're subversively transforming the rags of your oppression into the fatigues of the revolutionary through your jams. But you're kind of worried your performances will be drowned out by sarcastic orders to polish the silver. The tiny rips your measly powers can actually produce would complement your anarchic aesthetic without sacrificing readability. It makes you blush to think about, but your Flarp character was going to be in a band too. One with 2 Dameks. This bent spoon would be a perfect element to incorporate into your rebellious servant class aesthetic. It's your tablet. Use it for pretty much all computing needs. Perfect device for a kid on the go. Except you spend most of your time at home, so it usually just stays right here in your room. Unfortunately, a kid on the go is probably exactly what you are now. You really should grab it. Besides, your mic is plugged into it, and you're sure not leaving that behind. You gather both tablet and mic with one practice motion. They're attached, so the motion probably didn't require as much practice as you might think. You then proceed to have this conversation again from the other side. It's all news to Zephyros, and it'd be a little dull to read the whole thing over again. Let's just pick up where we left off. Do you want me to say any more alien things? No, I mean, I have no way to verify if those are true or not. Oh, send me a picture of you. I don't have any photos with me, and anyway, how could I get it to you? I'm trapped in here by that monster. Aren't you using the Tetrarch's tablet? Take the pics with that and transmit it over. Pics? Xmit? Pictures. Transmit. Okay, that's kind of a weird ask, Xerox. But I'll give it a shot. Here goes. Oh yeah, you're definitely an alien. Or you have some strange collection of grotesque physical and mental diseases. Either way, you need my help. Okay, that much is definitely true. I'm pretty sure I heard the monster scratching at the door. He's probably hungry. Anyway, man, if you're an alien, we've got to get you out of here. The heiress hates aliens. The what? The heiress. Oh, well, she's awful and controls everything, basically. I mean, I doubt she's ever met one, but to hear her talk, she hates aliens as much as she hates lowbloods. Which I guess you also are. You're practically a member of the Resistance already! I'm not sure whether to be really confused or really concerned about you. Do you need help? One time when things got really bad with my brother, my babysitter took him to the doctor and it seemed to help. Who wants to pick the saddest option? What's a brother? Oh, wow, you are so lucky. I really don't know. Okay, I'm definitely concerned. Being concerned is what friends do for each other. I've never had anyone but Tetrarch Damek be concerned about me before. Oh, geez. I bet the other Tetrarchs will be extremely excited to hear there's an alien helping us now. Sure. But I'm sort of pretty focused on not being killed by the monster in the other room at the moment. That's kind of my main deal right now. I don't really have a lot of time for anything else. Right, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll help you. And the Tetrarch too, because, well, I think Okay, I hope this is also helping him somehow. Which reminds me, we really shouldn't be talking like this. Like, what? Tetrarch Damek says we always have to assume our communications are being monitored. This is exactly the type of conversation I shouldn't be having. Oh man, I better hurry up and get over there. On my way now. Please don't message me anymore. It's dangerous. Be right back. In person, I mean. All that's missing is some batteries. Well, and your band leader. And some fans. And some better songs, honestly. And a means of monetizing your brand, which, if you're being frank, could also use some polish. Both of these mouth-centric tools are broken. Both of them! Both of them! Neither works! Hey, aren't you supposed to be saving someone's life right about now? Or were you the one being saved? You can't precisely remember, but you rest assured that the confusion will last only for the duration of your attempt to use these items together. The Espia Crooner class is extremely difficult at the lower levels, and, well, at all levels, really. It's a stealth and singing class. Not a particularly harmonious pairing. You could power the mic with your psychic powers, except for the fact that you're telekinetic, not, electrokinetic? You don't know what the word for someone who controls electricity with their mind is, because that is fake and obviously not a real thing that anyone can do. Maybe you'd actually have a better shot of getting the show if you didn't use the mic Damek made? You couldn't do that to him, though. Like, he would physically prevent you from doing that. He can be pretty forceful. Nope, not yet. Now's probably not the time to get dressed for a performance. Which is to say, you really don't feel like putting on your butler uniform. You haven't had as much time to practice since Damek got you to join the Grubbles. Or at least since he got you to join his rebellion. But hey, it's important to support your friend's interests. Damek made this for you. The battery ran out, though. Not much you can do about it right now, but you don't dare leave it behind. If you get it near the Soper slime, it might get ruined. A few weeks ago, you dreamed you were standing center on the velvet of a packed pro-arena stickball stadium, singing the interplanetary war song. If you aliens were not meant to die at our hands, why are you all so pitifully incapable of defending yourselves? When you finished, you looked down and realized that you were wearing the uniform of your favorite team, the Thrash Thrust Snow Globes, and you were about to play in the championship game. Everyone was cheering for you. You looked into the stands, and you could somehow see Damek cheering louder than anyone else. It was the best dream you've ever had. That is so sad and adorable. What a daring dream. You're still working on your set list. Maybe you'd actually have a better shot of getting on the show if you didn't use the mic Tetrarch Damek made. You couldn't do that to him, though. Oh, it's the same thing. Weird. Band practice with Tetrarch Damek has significantly reduced your time for butler training. Let's go gander. With all those drones out there? No way. We can't re-gander, I see. No gandering back. Okay. We're heading into the rumpus room, so... It's just your faithful scour dray, which you haven't bothered draining recently. Inside of it, resin fluid and floor filth coalesce to make a repugnant gray sludge. The last time you attempted to pull this stunt, you accidentally tipped the bucket and spilled Scourge resin fluid all over the place. God, that's a mouthful. Your skills haven't improved much since then, so you'd better move along before you make another mess. Be careful with that thing, alright? It's common knowledge that flart manuals have an inherent -50 resistance rating against Scourge resin fluid. There are way less gross places to clean a bent spoon. Even if this auto-tune mic were waterproof, you doubt there's any undiscovered talent lurking in the depths of your nasty bucket. Hey, that's filthy. This is adorable. You kind of wish you could live somewhere with more trees. Maybe then you'd be less asleep always? Like most things in your life, though, you don't really have much say in the matter. Tetrarch Damek had you act out scenes from some of your favorite action movies, which just so happen to be his favorite action movies, too. You're lucky to have a Moirail who really pushes you. You still can't believe they got a shot of you at the exact moment you clobbered the clover. What a lucky break! This is from the 12th Perige's Eve, when Damek gave you the auto-tune mic he made. Yep. Clover's name is Clover. Very clover, huh? This was his way of letting you know that he'd started a band, and that you were the singer, and also that your voice could use a little help. He was always giving you leaves to eat. You would munch on them for his benefit, mostly. Come to think of it, though, you have always been pretty strong. Could those bitter leaves you gnawed on as a wiggler have had something to do with that? When you were just a little wiggler, curling up with your Lucis made you feel safe when the world seemed scary. Which was often. Who knows, maybe they enhanced his psychic abilities. Geez, come to think of it, the two of you haven't played on the tree in a long time. Maybe that's why he's been so lazy. Well, at least it looks like the two of you will both be getting some exercise in the immediate future. Cleaning supplies. The noble instruments of your future career, you guess. It kind of depresses you to keep them anywhere you like to have fun, so you just dump them at the end of the hallway. Yeah, so that's that. This. Maybe if your hallway is really clean, the drones will stop trying to burn your neighborhood down and kill you. Ah, there's that Rustblood Moxie. Also, I love that you can see his reflection on the floor. The Tetrarch plays lead drums when you guys perform. You didn't notice that lead drums were a thing that Damek told you he was playing them. Okay. You didn't know that lead drums were a thing until Damek told you he was playing them, and that you were in a band with him. In contrast to Tetrarch Damek's percussive machismo, your stage persona is more skittish, as if you're vaguely terrified of the implications of your own pseudo-revolutionary rhymes. Wow, I fucking ate shit on that sentence. Which is not far off the mark, as one of the implications could be your execution. This was a great night. Damek insisted you have half the flavor disc. Your Lucis took this picture. A delightful trick he has never repeated. You guys have a lot of fun in the studio, as evidenced by this candid selfie Tetrarch Damek told you to take. Look at you. So carefree. You wish you were gearing up to play right now. You were so excited to show him that branch. He ate all the leaves in one very slow bite, and you were left with a pretty decent hive-made Cubat. The first Cubat you ever had, actually. Your smear spinner has gotten a lot of use lately. Why, just look at that even glisten of mucus on the floor. Beautiful. You could almost take pride in it. The smear spinner glides so easily across the floor, you're sometimes actually able to move it with your puny telekinesis. Would it be classified as a vehicle or a familiar? Or maybe as an enemy? No. No! It would never turn on you like that. Oh, this bent spoon will not make a useful smear spinner accessory. You're a little embarrassed that you even tried to do that. You lay down some verse about how the smear spinner keeps everything shiny and smooth, but also impedes mobility. It's pretty tight, the way you manage to poetically associate the more abstract elements of your class struggle with this concrete, visible object, such that it serves as a potent metaphor for both your oppression and your forced participation in keeping that oppression running smoothly. You also say some light cusses. Ideally, you'd be able to kick back in an easy chair while using the power of your mind to get these cleaning supplies sweeping and scrubbing on your behalf. But you couldn't telekinesis your way out of a wet chitin sack. Right? Fuck yeah. Lay down some fucking rhymes. Your flarp manual really has no place among the cleaning supplies. Cleaning supplies are mostly meant to be used on things that don't go in your mouth. Just looking at your cleaning supplies dredges up enough emotion to inspire you to sing an impressively angsty power ballad. But your auto-tune mic's current battery situation won't allow it. This is the door to your rumpus room. We will go in the rumpus room. It is time for rumpus. There is a Funko Pop. There's a Funko Pop. There's a Funko Pop. Your Zoltan Matzo's Bobblenug figurine is the jewel of your collection. You've taken some pretty good thumps to the nug bone in your day. The pusher is the only player allowed to score, so they're prime targets for the opposing defense. That helmet's so worn out that it's basically worthless except for its sentimental value, which is still pretty low. Oh, no. The Cubat rack is for storing the instruments of your other failed dream. Oh. You wedge the bent spoon between the hilt and the wall, and... yes, you got the Cubat. This thing packs a wallop, especially when the tip is chalked and it's carried by you. No doubt about it. Packing one of these bad boys would increase your blunt force offensive rating by a whole 15 points. If only there was something in here about how to get it loose. I already do. You can't quite lift a Cubat with your telekinesis. The best pushers can. But you're not one of them. This thing's too worn out to protect anything. And you don't really feel like carrying around a keepsake of all the times things were trying to hurt you. Still, you think you'll stop short of just actually smashing it to pieces with your Cubat? Pusher helmets traditionally leave the forehead unprotected in order to facilitate your psychic powers. They also facilitate the high probability of your death, so yeah, there's that. Let's see, the defensive strats for a dilapidated helmet are... wow, this thing would actually lower your defense due to the high probability of destroyed helmet shrapnel going straight into your think pan. Maybe this thing wouldn't have worn out so fast if you cut horn holes beforehand instead of just shoving your horns through. Yeah, right, that's how Zoltan Matzos did it, so you just had to follow in his horn shoes. In his horns In his horns hooves? In his horseshoes. That's horseshoes. Come on. You can't think of a good rhyme for helmet. Smell it? Hell scent? Velvet? No, those are mostly weak assonants. Not really a great rock to build a church of rhymes on. You spit fire at the little figurines. You're pretty sure one of them melted a little. Wow. Sick. Insane. Oh, the hours of fun you've had gently bopping the nug bones of your bobble nug figurines with a bent spoon, watching them kind of jiggle around, bopping again. You're really glad someone invented video games. These are pretty low-threat enemies. They bobble like crazy. It's not exceptionally impressive since they do that at the slightest brush anyway. You've gone down that road before. You used to have a lot more of these. Nothing like a little recessed tabletop arena stickball with your best bud. Too bad he's not around right now. Maybe later. Play? Nah, it's not very fun by yourself. It's not very much like arena stickball either. As an instrument, it lacks the precision necessary for operations at this scale. That would be cheating! Or would it? You're actually not entirely sure. You guess it doesn't matter since you're not playing against anyone anyway. Oh, sure, like you can apply the stratagems of arena stickball to a tabletop arena stickball. As if! Haha! Boy, you're really chortling over that notion. Wrong kind of table for eating at. Wrong kind of stickball for doing telekinesis on. You blew it! You blew it! You blew it! You hold up the non-functioning mic and briefly do some lyrical color commentary on your tabletop arena stickball game. Very briefly, since nothing is happening. You drop some rebellious anti-establishment rhymes about vaults and your Lucis and some other hat-formed concepts about the caste system. It's pretty solid, but the vault is having none of it. It's your sports vault. Just a huge, heavy vault themed with sports! Arena stickball, specifically, and obviously. It's the only place in the hive you can store food for your Lucis. He's so strong he could easily break into any other hiding place. It has a special telekinesis-based interface. Tends to wear you out a little, and the combination is pretty hard to remember. Right? You can't open the sports vault with your hands. Try thinking before you act. Your Cubat is way too big for the precise, delicate, intellectual sports maneuvers necessary to solve the sports vault locking mechanism. You could maybe pick the lock with this bent spoon if it were a little sharper, and if you knew how to do that, and if this vault were actually featured a tumbler-based lock, which it doesn't. You have a feeling you're bending up the wrong spoon on this one. Let's see. Ah, yeah. Picking this lock is way above your challenge rating. You should probably put your mind to figuring out another way to open it. Like... Let's do this. You have been called. Ugh, that's a rough one. It can be hard to remember the path when you're already concentrating on your shaky telekinesis. It helps if you have some kind of guide on hand. You've got just the thing, but you don't think it's in this room. The crest of the Alternian Pro Arena Stickball League. With all 15 balls. In a real game of arena stickball, these are all different sizes, and each has its own distinct powers. Paused right at the height of exciting sport. They release a new arena stickball game grub, like 6 times a sweep. And every time you buy it like a sucker and act like you're fucking surprised when nothing's different. It's like, what are they gonna do? Change the rules? Play. Nah, you're pretty busy right now. Only chumps play video games when they have obligations they should be tending to. Yeah, fuck off. I've got shit I'm doing. This is an obligation I'm doing. I'm walking here. Your splay sack. A chair bag filled with sober slime. Proximity to the slime helps you relax without actually making you fall asleep like your Recuperacoon does. Some trolls actually eat sober slime, which helps them be really stupid. Chill. Sometimes, when you're tired, you just kind of chill out here on your splay sack for a few hours instead of going to sleep in your Recuperacoon. Sometimes when you do that, you think about your life, and the decisions you made, and how much of a choice you ever really had about a lot of things. You try not to dwell on stuff like that, though. Zoltan Matzos was the greatest pusher the Snow Globes ever had. No Prowler could catch him, no Zapper could blast him, and no matter what Lucis the Wrangler set on him, Matzos would shake him off. That all ended the night the heiress of that era attended the game, and the opposing controller, made Matzos thrust his bone nook at her. She had him culled right there on the velvet. The pairings on that tower? Oh, this one? Let's check. No, because that, 14, that's matchsticks next to Clover there. This wasn't the current heiress, of course. This was a long time ago, before you were hatched. Also, good eye. They do still do something with candy and meat in one of the Hiveswap friend sim routes. Bold ears. So, good eye. The Thrash Thrust Snow Globes are the best team to ever play the sport of lords, and that is simply all to say on the matter. Playing for them is your dream. Was, you guess. The Thrash Thrust Snow Globes are the best team ever, period. The worst thing about being on the run is your chances of playing for them one day are basically 0 now. Oh wow, did you see that? It waved! You're pretty sure you just made it wave? Wow. Okay. Awesome. You consider draping yourself in your team pennant for additional armor, but consult your Flart manual first. It suggests that maybe a brightly colored flag waving merrily in the breeze is not the ideal accessory for a hasty escape. There's no way you'll be able to eat that whole pennant. Not with a bent spoon, anyway. You sing Fishin' Division, the new Snow Globes fight song. The central conceit is mostly based around the fact that the team shares its name with the 8-Ball, which contains a nuclear device that will detonate after a certain period of time has passed. Fun! You look at the poster of your hero, Zoltan Matzos. You've always felt a pretty deep connection with him, even though he died long before you were born. Sometimes, you've never told anyone this, but Sometimes when things get really rough out there on the Velvet, or when you're just feeling kind of crummy even, you sing the old Snow Globes fight song to yourself and pretend Zoltan is there. Not really doing anything, just believing in you. It always helps. Yeah. Ha! Jeez. Looking at a psychic giant like Zoltan while holding this pitiful thing makes you kind of embarrassed. Whole silverware drawers probably tied themselves in knots just because he was walking down a street nearby. And here you struggle to bend a spoon. Hey now, is that any way to think? You know Zoltan sure wouldn't want you to be down on yourself just because you were looking at his poster. He would want you to believe in yourself. Remember what he said. If you can bend them, they can't break you. Good advice, Zoltan. Zoltan Matsos isn't listed in your Flart manual, probably because his stats would be too incredibly high for mere mundane numbers to track. They'd have to create a whole module just about him, where he fights against versions of himself from other timelines. It'd be the only way to make it challenging. Wow, that sounds awesome. If you make it through this present craziness, you're definitely gonna maybe think about possibly writing that down somewhere or something. Zoltan's telekinesis. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen. Rustbloods can get pretty powerful, but he was like something from history. One of those illegal parts of history you're not supposed to know about. When he really got going, the whole stadium would rumble in his psychic wake. Lately, you've kind of secretly suspected that maybe his death wasn't just the result of some blue blood controller prank. Maybe they were taking him out before he became too dangerous for them to handle. Jeez. Just look at that uniform. Just look at his face. He looks like he could break the world in half with that Cubat. You've tried to emulate his non-traditional stance, and you think it's given you the edge more than once. If only you had the psychic chops that Zoltan had. Oh well, no point in dreaming. Seems to be a theme. No point in dreaming. Arena Stickball is really the only place where Rustbloods like you get to shine. It's certainly the only place where an Indigo would risk their neck to defend you. The brawler on your team is actually a pretty decent guy, all things considered, but Damek doesn't really like you talking to him. The balls are all set in there pretty firmly. You could maybe wobble the whole thing off the wall, but you don't really want to break it. Also, you're really unsure about your ability to wobble it off the wall, and that would be an embarrassing thing to fail at. You consult your Flart manual to determine the power level of the various orbs. No surprise, the snowball is the deadliest. You're glad that's a fake one. You look into the concave side of the bent spoon, hoping that the distorted reflection of the stickball crest will allow you to escape your preconceptions and see the game in a whole new way, just completely destroying everyone with your sick lateral thinking and non-traditional playstyle. No dice. You lay down some pretty complex verse in which you compare yourself to the various balls in sequence, likening their attributes to various elements of your own personality and history. Wow, it's really good. You should write that down before... it's gone. Yeah, right? You lay down a Splay Slack diss track. This is pretty devastating. You really dig into a bunch of personal stuff that would normally be off the table, just totally pulling no punches. You're pretty sure your friendship with the Splay Sack is never coming back from this, and you don't even care. You scrape at the side of the Splay Sack with your bent spoon. You sure do that. By gosh. When this thing puts you to sleep, at least you'll have a good place to land. You give this splay sack soper interior a brisk jostling. This is just good housekeeping, really. You would, but geez, splay sack guts all over your TV? No thanks. With the semi-trained eye of an aspiring professional, you coldly evaluate the form of the player on the screen. It's pretty much perfect. He swings his cue bat like he was born to do it, which, according to the rigors of your incredibly strict caste system, he basically was. Whoa, you're pretty sure you just made the screen flicker. You were blinking, but you're pretty sure. Sometimes you just know these things. You don't flarp with a TV. You flarp with a game grub. Also, you don't flarp at all by yourself, or when your best friend is in peril. The player on the pause screen is unimpressed by your bent spoon. Wow, you've been big-leagued by a static image. It will take sweeps to recover from this hit to your rep. Your mic can't interface with your TV, especially when your mic doesn't have any batteries. You have to crack open the controller to sync them, and it's pretty gross. Pus gets everywhere. That sounds like a good way to ruin the controller or unruin the spoon, and you're unwilling to do either. You need a fresh game grub to flarp. Also, you need someone else to play with. Short on both counts, idiot. Manipulating the buttons and sticks is a really great training exercise for precision telekinesis. Unfortunately, the best you can currently manage is to lift the controller and then drop it, so you're kind of shining a turd here. But... yeah. Oh yeah, you've broken controllers before in wild fits of frustration. Should you say rustration? You really shouldn't. Yeah, you kind of hate the smear spinner, but it's pretty expensive and you don't exactly have a lot of extra money to throw around. In fact, you never have enough. By law. It's imperial mandate that Rustbloods not have more than the bare minimum to scrape by, lest they become too powerful, you guess. Maybe. Sure, you'd love to use this Cubet to utterly clean Hive at the arena, but that doesn't mean it belongs with the actual cleaning supplies. You know, maybe scour bristling isn't so bad if you think of the scour bristle as a Cubet and imagine that the dirt on the floor is actually the opposing team during the championship finals. Score is tied, 30 seconds on the clock. It's all down to the wire and... Nah, you're just not feeling this at all, sorry. Scour bristling sucks forever. If you won Slammer get called, there'd be no time for pusher practice. Not that there's any time for it now, really. What with the rebellion and everything. Those stick jammers are holding the poster in pretty well on their own. No full force strike with your Cubet needed. You just kind of pressed him into the semi-soft wall while using the power of your own digits. Yep, there's your arena stickball gear. Specially made to take hits from any and all arena stickball hazards. Getting burned by the match tip, or blasted by the opposing zapper, or mauled by a Lucis controlled by the opposing wrangler, or really any number of things, but... It doesn't take any of those hits especially well, of course. It does take them. Although, wait. Each of the different balls has their own unique effect. Although, since that's actually a lighting fixture, not a real set of balls, if you were going to strike it with your Cubet like you just considered doing, the only effect they produce would be broken glass and probable electrocution. You always gotta shake off the slimies a bit before you're in your prime vigor. It goes to the left of the Kite and Ridger, of course. They require a more delicate touch, or rather, no touch at all. Dromed Bakhtar has a pretty good textbook pusher stance, and does it well. Dromed? Eh. Although you prefer the unconventional foot placement made famous by Zoltan Matzos. You've got a poster of him up in your rumpus room. Many's the time you've imagined taking your Cubat to all this depressing junk. Smashing it to unrecognizable pieces would feel so good. For a few minutes. Then you'd remember that you need this stuff to practice your buttling, which you need in order to be good enough to pass your trials, or you'll be called. And also this stuff is expensive, and if anything happened to it, it'd be a sweep or two before you could afford another set. You don't have a sweep or two to spare. Never. They'd fucking call me if I don't. If you went out this way, you'd be easy prey for a drone before you ever made it to Tetrarch Damix. You mean to save Joey. That's what you meant. It's too dangerous to leave this way. The drones could see you. Safest bet is to go out through the back door. They'll probably spot you here too, but, well, your hive only has so many doors. I fucking love this. This is one of my favorite things ever. She's so happy. You designed your hive around this tree, hoping it would grow along with you and your Lucis. These lounge planks aren't full of soap or slime or anything like that. They're just comfortable horizontal surfaces suited to either the sitting or lying prone positions. A big branch fell off this tree during a solar storm, and you carved it into the Cubat you now carry. You did it! You moved a leaf! Interior trees grant +3 to your decor's whimsy stat. Maybe you can carve Tetrarch Damic and friend Zephyros forever. But, oh gosh, you would of course have to ask his permission first. You know a sad song about a tree, but you don't feel like singing it right now. Maybe another time. Foreshadowing. Sad song about a tree. You can't really summon any revolutionary lyrical rhetoric around your own lounge plank. Maybe something about very basic comforts being a blinder that prevents you from seeing the danger of your present situation? Nah, that's a little corny and underdeveloped. Tetrarch Damic would really take you to task over that one. Just because it's near the kitchen doesn't mean your lounge plank is food. You resolve to pull yourself together a little bit. The perfect staging area for adventures of the mind. Flarp is actually an adventure of the flesh as well. Your lounge plank is way too heavy to move with telekinesis. You are not ashamed to admit that. A good drubbing would really put this lounge plank in its place, if it weren't already there. your Imperial Edict mandated portrait of the heiress. She rules your planet with a perfectly manicured golden fist. You know it's perfectly manicured because she recently issued an Imperial memorandum on her new nail art. The drones outside are doing her dirty work. She'll have a shiny top coat of blood after tonight, all of it common-hued, you're sure. Oh, wow. It's tempting. But it'd be dangerous to even dream about. Literally. The chuckle voodoos of the heiress's subjugators in waiting would pursue you to the darkest quarters of your own mind and beat you to death with their juggling clubs, laughing like lunatics the whole time. Tetrarch Damick insists that the aristocracy fears the powers of those beneath it, like your rust-blood telekinesis and brown-blood Lucis communion. He sometimes neglects to mention that your telekinesis isn't all that fearsome, which is nice of him, occasionally. You can't imagine the heiress playing Flarp unless she got to play as a super high-level character with an exclusive class, and everyone else had to lose on purpose while shrieking about how great she is. The heiress has probably never seen silverware before. Not that this is real silver. She only eats off of gold plates, not that she throws away after a single use. Well, that's not really fair. She doesn't throw them away, obviously. She has servants to do that for her, along with everything else. If the heiress ever heard your revolutionary music, you'd be culled within the hour. Huh. Maybe that's what's going on right now. You doubt it. You're basically completely unknown outside of Outglut. You subscribe to a wide variety of hit periodicals. Arena Stickball Illustrated. Grubs Diurnally. Those are actually the only titles you know. The rest always incorporate the magazine's name on the cover into some sick graphic design to the point that you can't actually tell what the name is. This one with the graffiti of a muscle beast throwing up is usually about movies, though. The latest issue of Arena Stickball Illustrated has a big expose on chalking your cube out. They're claiming it doesn't really do anything to enhance your performance. You're more than a little disappointed to see this once proud publication resort to preposterous lies to grab attention. Everyone knows that Cube-at chalk is the pulsing lifeblood of the sport of lords. You'd probably just end up accidentally ripping the covers off, which would destroy their value to collectors. I know, right? Chalk. Interesting. Your Flarp manual does have some information about magazines, but they're the kind with bullets. You don't have any of those around, unless Tetrarch Damick has hidden secret ammo caches throughout your hive again without telling you. Correction, you probably have thousands of those around. Bent spoons are in, or rather, a single bent spoon is in. It is in your Silodex. That's the dream, man. Get yourself on the cover of one of these babies. Preferably not talentless nobodies, though. Pizza bubble, mip, 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 mip. Behold. The Needles of Zilliwitch. Frankly, you're not even sure why you subscribe to that one. Hey, that looks like something. A playbook for the Burgundy Blood pusher position in Arena Stickball. You still have dreams of being a star pusher, and studying these killer plays was going to help take you to the top. But your play on the field never quite lived up to the athletic promise of your fantasies. Also, the closer your rites of maturation get, the more the sobering reality sinks in that you'll never get to play professionally. Life of butlering, here you come. You guess? Get. Now, if a situation arises where you'll need to remember a particular play, you'll be well equipped to do so. You resolve to keep an eye out for just such a contrivance. There aren't any pusher plays that incorporate rapping, but there aren't any that particularly prohibit rapping either. You're not allowed to bring improvised weapons onto the Velvet. There are plenty of regular weapons there already, so it would be kind of redundant. You compare the rules of playing Flarp to the playbook for ruling. You mean for playing arena stick Flarp. Stickball, you mean, you reference both and determine that you have a headache. Your pusher playbook advises that you heavily rely on your telekinesis, something you're not at all that comfortable doing, as your telekinesis is not at all really reliable. You tend to lead with your Cubat. There's a lot in here about the modern consensus on how you should hold your Cubat. The right grip, level stance, keep your head down, swing your hips, eyes on the ball, good hustle, ice your knee, etc. You never really paid it any mind. The first time you saw a poster of Zoltan Matzos holding his Cubat, you knew how you were going to hold it for the rest of your life. Oh. Ah, dang it. Your Lucis is sleeping somewhere totally inconvenient again. Come on, wake up, Come on, wake up, Snorlax. Snorlax is in the way again, for a change. Just keeping things interesting, you guess. You ask Snorlax to move. At first, you're friendly and casual, as if you expect him to move easily. Then you try being polite, but a little distant. Your tone becomes annoyed, then firm, followed by stern, finally shifting to angered. Nothing works. You just can't reach him lately. The only thing that Snorlax seems to care about are his sloth treats. Full of all the complex plays a pusher needs to keep themselves from becoming a burgundy stain on the velvet. Look at that, it's nearly escaped from your impending death o'clock. You'd better not be late. I might use a flute, or I might use a treat. First of all, Arena Stickball is played in 2 11-hour halves. It's grueling. You generate some truly impressive verse utilizing a time motif. For some reason, time and rapping seem inextricably linked in your head. Trying to hold a minute hand in place actually sounds like a pretty good TK exercise once you get tired of ruining your silverware. So now we also have psychic powers interacting with time. That's fun. There's a whole section about using the time of day to encrypt messages. Damek is always trying to teach you this stuff, but it's so hard to keep track of, and also to care about. You turn the minute hand back slightly. Oh, if only it were that easy to turn back time and undo the mistakes of... Oof. Actually, that minute hand thing kind of wore you out a bit. Sounds like a great way to just completely destroy an unsuspecting clock for no reason. Things were looking pretty dicey out there, but Joey Alien needs your help. Your Lucis is obeying his bestial parental instincts to protect you from danger by blocking the doorway. Good dad. Best sloth. Sign of the escapee. Yeah. All the best chefs cook on very high heat. You are not one of the best chefs, which is just as well since your crisp range kind of sucks. Besides, how will you know what to cook if Damek doesn't tell you what he wants? Your spice rack. It is where you keep your spices. You guess a flaming Q-bat might scare off some of those drones outside if they are physically capable of fear? Since they're not, you think you'll take it easy on the burning your only means of defending yourself front. You'll never take a swing at your Lucis. Not that he'd even feel it if he did. He's very strong. Were you kidding? You can barely lift a spoon without passing out. If he's gonna be moved, it's gonna have to be him doing the moving. Gotta make him want to, you guess. He's not really into flarp and also can't read and also is a sloth. He just wants his sloth treats. Giving him an empty spoon is kind of rude in that context. You fire off from the hip with some absolutely devastating verse about your Lucis, and about Lucises in general, and their inability to comprehend the struggles of their wards, due to a lethal combination of being too old, too corny, and too much dumb monster animals instead of people. Fucking... He retaliates by continuing to be asleep. You are wrecked. He tends to rely more on raw, indolent instinct than on tactics. You're telekinetic, not pyrokinetic. Jeez. The Flirt Manual has lots of instructions for cooking and other types of crafting. You'd need to make a bunch of burned husk loaf to grind your level enough to be able to cook anything edible, though. Sure thing. All you're missing is a plate, some food, ideally a spoon that isn't bent. Sounds like a good way to start some sick fires. You're pretty pleased with that one. You should call Tetrarch Oh, right. The match tip, the number 11 ball, is actually on fire. It's a cinch to deal with if you're a gifted telekinetic. But luckily for you, you can also just smack it away with your Q-bat. Ah, sport. The spice of life. Your flow is fresh enough already. It's also spicy, sweet, sour. Yeah, that works. You guess your flow is pretty brothy. Yeah, sorry, I accidentally hit my, my earbud. That was my bad. Don't worry about it. What this spoon gained as an emblem of your minor telekinetic abilities, it lost 100-fold as a trustworthy spice transmitter. Spice. Let's see. Spice up your strifes. This is an optional rule set for using spice mix in combat, which you think is, pretty ridiculous. Give all the spices a little shake in their little vials. They are now much better suited to being added to a broth. You barely suppress your arena stickball ingrained instinct to hit things that have been arranged in racks. A daily battle for you, and one that you do not always win. This is your 19th spice rack. Ah, I should agitate my grub slurry. With my grub slurry agitator, which is nice when I just want to throw some unagitated grub slurry into the agitating receptacle and enjoy some grub slurry that's been thoroughly agitated. Agitate grub slurry. You don't currently have any unagitated grub slurry that needs agitating in your grub slurry agitator. Whenever you do, though, you always know right where to go. Oh, hell no. You might as well just go out that door right now and find a drone to kill you, because putting inorganic material in the grub slurry receptacle of your grub slurry agitator is a death wish. If your telekinesis were powerful enough to agitate grub slurry, you wouldn't need a grub slurry agitator in the first place. Ah, dare to dream. Oh, hell no. Yep. Maybe you should chill out a little? Huh. Just kill a little appliance humor while your friend is maybe dead. Just keeping it light. You give it a shot, but also, come on. You nearly passed out from bending a spoon earlier. Actually, maybe there's some grub juice left over from your party with Damek. That would give you a little more combustion sludge in the old sludge receptacle. The Flarp manual classifies your hunger trunk as at threat level 5-star General Electric? There might be some good stuff to eat in there, but you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit. Try opening it first, maybe? You spit some mild fire at your hunger trunk that mostly plays on the idea that trunk is slang for butts, and that hunger could also refer to non-food-based appetites. Can't play on an empty acid tract. 2 11-hour halves is nothing to sneeze at. Alright, let's see what this fucking vile masterpiece is. Ah, delicious grub sauce. Hand sauced from, You're not sure, actually. You don't ask about grub sauce. That isn't what you do with grub sauce. Ugh, these are still in here. Bile slaw really doesn't keep well. Eating an unranged cluckbeast ova is a great way to fill your acid tubes with horrifying parasites, who probably wouldn't get along with your benevolent parasites or your benign parasites. Sometimes, when you're feeling especially rebellious, you wish all the good toppings weren't reserved for high bloods. Leftover from Tetrarch Damek's early Wriggling Day party. He doesn't turn 7 sweeps old for a couple wipes, but you wanted to celebrate him before his rites of maturation. Always useful in case you need to whip up a souffle. You're bad at that, but it's a mandatory part of your future job, so... Grub juice hydration cylinders. Inside these cylindrical containers is grub juice, which can be used for hydration and restoring reserves of psychic power. You pick up a grub juice hydration cylinder. Nice! Now if you need a quick restorative for your psychic stamina, you'll just have that, in your hand, instead of not having it, like some kind of chump. With both of these things in hand, you've got everything you need to perform a respectably complex and lengthy psychic arena stickball maneuver. This stuff really doesn't do your voice any favors. Possibly because your throat partially closes up in protest by the time you finish half a cylinder. You're actually able to bend an entire spoon without refreshing your reserves with grub juice. You couldn't always, so you suppose that's improvement. Wow. There actually are stats for grub juice in your Flarp manual due to a regrettable cross-platform brand awareness licensing campaign. Restores depleted psyche mana. Well, okay, you'll keep that in mind? As soon as you find a good use for your telekinesis, this grub juice will help you accomplish it. You usually wait until you finish drinking a grub juice before you smash the cylinder. These should help you if you need to restore your depleted reserves of psychic power. You know, if that's a thing you're into restoring. This is grub juice, not grub slurry. It has no business being anywhere near a grub slurry receptacle. Look, cards on the table, this stuff tastes pretty awful. But you'd think you'd rather just play through the pain than try to church it up with some mince collar bear guts or something. After all you went through getting those out of there, opening the door, closing the door, that other part in the middle. No way, you've just come too far. You should never ever drink hot grub juice. That is not a memory you want to revisit. Oh god. He's very particular about his diet. He only eats sloth treats, and he only eats a lot of them. You don't put a clock to your drinking. Plenty of ads for grub juice in the pusher section of Arena Stickball Illustrated, the only section of the magazine you're legally permitted to read. As usual, your pusher playbook is being torn apart in the review section of Arena Stickball Illustrated. None of the reviews are actually written by pushers, though. It's usually just Violet Blood nobles talking about how it's disgusting that they have to look at Rust Bloods when they want to watch Arena Stickball. Or just talking about whatever they want, really. If a royal wants to talk about the sandwich he didn't finish earlier, they can get that published whenever they want. Amazing. This isn't her new brand, Claw Gunk, so you guess these cans are illegal now? Should the heiress deign to attend a match you're playing in, disregard all objectives and immediately kneel in worship for the duration of playtime. That would kill everyone, by the way. That kills everyone. No trees on the velvet. That'd be a pretty absurd obstacle to navigate. The tree is sustained by water, not a... whatever this is. Oh, that would take forever to get out of the fabric. Slamming yourself against the lounge plank is a great low-cost way to condition yourself for the physical toll of Arena Stickball. It's also a great way to wear out your already crummy furniture. You don't really build up any muscle that'd be useful in Arena Stickball by pushing the old smear spinner around. It's just too easy, what with the smearing and the spinning. It practically pulls you along behind it. That was some pretty hollow false enthusiasm if you're being real with yourself. You use a special smear gunk for the smear spinner. You don't just shoot any old gunk in there. Grub juice isn't gritty enough to get a good scour going. Many of these cleaning supplies could be combined into improvised weapons. But that would be cheating, and Rustblood players get called before they can blink. Rustblood cheaters get called before they can blink. You wonder if the frequent toil of scour bristling has made you a better pusher. Well, maybe better than you would be without it, but not better than the other pushers, since almost all of them are pushing a scour dray around their hallways too. Oh, that's a bit sad. Scouring the floor with grub juice would be sort of a step backwards. You feel like you're pulled in so many different directions these days. Arena stickball practice, slammer get culled, the rebellion, the Grubbles? In a non-SOGC capacity. Plus, somewhere out there you're supposed to be training to pass your rights, just in case you can't close the deal on any of those other interests. Thank goodness you have Tetrarch Damic to tell you what's really important. Winners in Slammer Get Called get tons of sponsorships, but Grub Juice is really more of a sports-themed beverage adjacent semi-liquid. It doesn't have the sizzle and glamour of the lifestyle brands that SOGC attracts. Ever since you joined Damic's band, you haven't really had a chance to practice your pusher maneuvers very much. Which is fine, of course. It's not a big deal. It's just a dumb game, like the Tetrarch says. Oh. You and Tetrarch Damic haven't secured any endorsements, obviously, because that would be a betrayal of his principles. No grub juice stains on any of these. Not that you don't spill on yourself, of course. You just get a lot of practice laundry done during your butler training. Your pusher playbook recommends that you always keep your gear in working order, which is kind of an obvious thing to recommend. It barely even counts as a tip. It's also very difficult to actually do, since pushers tend to just get brutalized out there. You have to account for the effects of all the different balls when you're the pusher, since you're the only one allowed to score. Touch the dozer with your hands and you fall asleep in seconds. The stitcher is a loose pile of yarn that has to be rolled up into a ball before it can be used to score. It makes a tempting distraction for the opposing team's prowler, etc. The tracer will try to follow the path it was taken on in the match before, and the finisher will only move on a predetermined path to the goal, hopefully your opponent's. There are lots more. It's a lot to keep track of, frankly. You could shake it up and spray the chunky beverage all over your nice lighting fixture, but why? Why would you? You love it. It reminds you of your favorite thing, arena stickball. I know, right? It's clever. It's good to hydrate before you sleep. The sober slime is actually very physically and mentally draining. It's not unheard of for it to severely injure trolls who are already in bad health when they go to sleep. Your pusher playbook recommends that you should be sure to get plenty of sleep before any big match, which is kind of incredibly obvious, but okay. It's also easier said than done sometimes. You just get so excited. With all the rules, sharp hazards, and circles, you can almost imagine that your wear grid study scroll is actually a page from your pusher playbook, if you really, really try. If anyone were to commit the outrageous faux pas of drinking grub juice at a fancy dinner, maybe when you're done with these, you can crush the can with your mind, by which you mean crush it against your nug bone. Foreshadowing. Improvised weapons are prohibited on the Velvet unless you improvise them from something you find on the playing field itself, like somebody's torn off leg or whatever. Then it's fair game. Knees apart, head tilted, cubad at an angle over the non-dominant shoulder. It's pretty much a by-the-numbers perfect stance. Not the one you use, of course. You prefer the Zoltan Matzos knees-in method, but it's solid. Dromed Bakhtar is no slouch, except for when he's slouching slightly, as recommended by the Pusher playbook. Dromed is a really strong psychic, though they're no Sultan Matzos, of course, and as such doesn't really need to stop in the middle of a match or rehydrate or anything. It's important to pour the grub juice down the side of the glass, so it maintains its turgidity. You try to tell yourself that your butler training will translate into skills that you can also use on the arena playing field of arena stickball. The velvet playing field of arena stickball. But it's hard to make yourself believe it. Rumpus Room. Yeah, this is a pretty classic pusher maneuver. You actually paused it right here in order to get a closer look at her form. Look at the way she's pivoting her whole body in the air to give her Q-bat extra heft on impact. She's also giving the bat a nice jolt of extra force from her telekinesis, a pro move that's very difficult to execute properly. There's a lot of strategies in here for the best way to score with each ball, and how to avoid getting killed by them, and that kind of stuff. A lot about that kind of stuff, really. Astonishingly, there aren't any plays that incorporate comfortable furniture. What do you think this is? Yacht racing with a bunch of violet bloods? The plays are already in the game. You basically just pick which one you want to execute and then try not to screw it up too bad. Grub juice is great after a game. Or during. Sometimes you have one right in the middle of the action, just to get you through it. Grub juice companies are heavy sponsors of the various arena stickball teams, though only at the pro level, of course. Minor league scrubs rely more on arena stickball-centric endorsements, like Q-bats or helmets, which barely cover the cost of wear and tear, and significant injury. Grub juice doesn't actually make you better at video games, and they aren't actually strenuous enough to make you need to rehydrate. It's like Danik says, brutally authoritarian capitalist marketing is full of pretty lies. Gamer fuel. Kicking back from in your splay sack with a nice grub juice, still turgid from the hunger trunk. Sounds nice. You don't do it right now, but you imagine it, and wow, nice. Zoltan surely didn't need cheap pick-me-ups like this to get his telekinesis going. He was like a river of power that everyone else had to swim in or drown. Oh, obviously, like half the plays in here were Matzo's originals. He really reinvented the pusher position, brought some real dignity to it, which is probably why they humiliated and called him. But they can't kill his spirit. The Pusher Playbook strongly recommends treating your Q-bat to regular maintenance and careful storage. You're only too happy to oblige. The Snow Globes didn't have a Grub Juice sponsorship. If they did, that'd be the only brand you drank. Yep, this is the official Thrash Thrust Snow Globes tolerated fan-made Pusher Playbook. Only the best. It's hard to strategize new plays using these guys when there's just two of them. Unless it's strategies for if most of the team has been killed, of which there are many. Let's see, helmet, here we go. Helmet. Wear one. Thirsty little guys? You're just kidding around. You know they aren't alive. They don't have needs like thirst or hunger or the deep and echoing loneliness that never truly leaves you, even in crowds. Okay, maybe you've contributed a little to this helmet being worn out, what with the empty grub juice cans you crushed against it. Those round gaps at the corners and sides are goal sockets, not hydration cylinder holders. The plays offered by your Pusher Playbook aren't really applicable to tabletop arena stickball. Since the game is necessarily simplified, there's almost no chance of the tiny plastic pushers being horribly maimed and needing to crawl to safety. And now. I did it! Yeah! Now you can get the sloth treats. What a trial that was. Luckily, he has such a slow metabolism. The two most necessary implements of sloth wrangling. It's a shame your telekinetic endurance isn't potent enough to allow you to lug these sloth treats around without actually touching them. That way you could spare yourself the burden of having them stink up your hands and pockets. The Flarp manual states that consuming pet food to regain a minuscule amount of HP is a totally valid move, but nobody ever actually does that. Come on. Now you can get the sloth treats. Okay, yeah. Is this protest art? You make a mental move to tell the Tetrarch later. Maybe he'll be impressed. This bad boy is not powered by sloth treats, unlike the bad boy who is. Your sloth dad. There are dozens of maneuvers for interacting with the friendly, neutral, and opposing Lucises on the Velvet. You are just straight up not allowed to feed them, though. He doesn't really like grub juice, and you don't really like sloth treats, so this really wouldn't appeal to anyone. You think you'll call this hypothetical recipe the perfect compromise. The sloth treats. Here they are, yours for the grabbing. You grabbed them. You just know what to do with it. Yep. Your Lucis's favorite treats. Sometimes you wonder if he's the only here for more treats. Well, no, you don't really. Okay, so that's all the same. After all the work you did to get these out, you're gonna hold on to them for at least a little while. A little while. Well, wascal wabbit. Anywhere you leave these, he's bound to find them. So you'd rather not leave them inside of things you don't want slowly torn in half. Sloths aren't really that common among the Lucises featured in Arena Stickball. They don't really make for very exciting blood sport, as they're sort of way the heck too slow. You don't have to feed the controller. It's self-sustaining right up until it dies of starvation. Then the mother console just lays a new one. Oh, that's all he needs, because he's obviously having so much trouble having a comfortable place to relax. I know, right? Fucking, until he dies of starvation. What? You've wondered what kind of Lucis your hero Zoltan Matzos had. You kind of hope that he had a glacial tree trudger like you. That's adorable. This would be a ridiculous place to store your sloth treats. You keep them somewhere more sensible, like the gargantuan safe on the opposite side of the room. He's not really a huge fan. You mean he backs the snow globes, obviously, and he's huge, of course, but he's pretty relaxed about his support. You don't want him accidentally eating one of your bobble nugs. Not that he'd choke or anything. You just like these. He'd tear right through this thing if he ever felt like it. He's really strong. There are no tiny Lucises on the field in tabletop arena stickball, which means the tiny wranglers don't really have much to do. They just spin helplessly along with their teammates. He wouldn't eat these if they got anywhere near the Scourdray Resifluid. He's kind of a snob sometimes. You'd rather not poison your pet, Dad, thanks? Your biggest fan in every sense. Unfortunately, Lucises are barred from voting, unless you're a high blood, in which case your Lucis can eat everyone on stage if they want to. Your Lucis isn't a huge fan of your band, which is lucky because, wow, that would be embarrassing if your biggest fan was your own Lucis. Wait, I just said that, though. That's amazing. Self-burn. Sometimes you think about keeping a couple of extra sloth treats in the pockets of your clothes, just to have them on hand when you need them. But you could just leave treats out without your Lucis finding them and destroying whatever holds them. You don't need to keep them in a huge vault. If you could do that, you wouldn't need to keep them in a huge vault in the first place. Hiding a treat up there would just be the result, Hiding a treat up there would just result in your nice arena stickball lamp being torn from the ceiling as your Lucis leapt up to grab it, since there's no way in the world it can support his weight. Lucises don't need to sleep in raccoons because they are not afflicted with the violent and troubling impulses that your own species is. Or at least your Lucis isn't. There are some pretty nasty ones out there. You don't know what kind of Lucis dromed Dromed Bactar has. It's illegal to bring your Lucis to a game since they might interfere. Only unbonded Lucises are allowed on the field as forces to be controlled by the two opposing Bronzeblood Wranglers. If you mix these two together, the next time you came up here, there'd be a lot fewer spoons in this pile and a lot more spoons in another smellier pile in your Lucis shed. There's no point in putting the sloth treats in a special dish or anything. He just eats them all, immediately, without even opening his eyes all the way. Your sloth is a low-blood Lucis, so he won't ever have a butler attending to him. Except you, you guess. Your Lucis might be willing to help you keep your hive clean, but it's important that you get all the practice you can before your rites of maturation. Besides, he'd take forever. There's no ads for sloth treats in these. It's a pretty uncommon Lucis, so they tend to focus on direct marketing. Your Lucis doesn't care about the heiress. You wish you had that luxury. Or any luxury, really. Be nice to feel fancy now and then. His favorite treat and his favorite seat. You like it when he sleeps on the lounge plank because you can just kind of chill next to him and it's sort of like when you were just a little wiggler. You don't really schedule his feedings. It makes it easier to tempt him out of your way with a treat whenever he blocks your path with his slumbering enormity. Which happens pretty regularly. Huh. Yes, technically he's scheduling the feedings? Your grub slurry agitator is not equipped with a sloth treat receptacle, to your eternal humiliation. The last time you tried hiding these in there, he just tore the door right off. Thus began the sweep you spent without a hunger trunk until you could save up for a new one. You've tried once or twice to make these treats a little more interesting for him by spicing them up a bit. He just rubbed them on his fur until all the spice was off and ate them plain. Then you had to clean his fur. He prefers them raw. Here you go, buddy. You got just the thing to get him moving. Here you go, Snorlax. Oh! The face! Yes! Look at that. Oh, hi. You thank Snorlax for moving out of the way. All you had to do was give him exactly what he wanted. He's such a boy. Oh. Uh-oh. This looks sketchy. There's no response. You don't know what it is or where it came from, and you've already decided to destroy it? Wow. You certainly came to that conclusion pretty quickly. It might be about time for you to re-examine some of your assumptions about yourself as an open, inquisitive person. Oh no, you might crush it by mistake with your incredible power. Probably not. Nothing in your Flart manual about random boxes appearing from unknowable sources, which frankly seems like a pretty big oversight. You're pretty sure you can just open it. You lack the information to put together any kind of cohesive rap about this box. You guess you could rap about how you don't know what it is, but that seems a little too niche to get any real audience traction. Odd. You hadn't thought about it since until you held the playbook, but you do get the same feeling of pernicious intent from that box that you usually do from the man on the moon. The white, non-scoring ball and the arena stickball. That an arena stickball that pushers aren't allowed to interact with. Like you said, it's odd. Looks like a software box? Maybe after you install it, you can smash the box against your head? It's kind of a drag living across the street from billboards advertising the heiress is garbage, but it's awesome living across the street from your best friend. Oh man, a can of claw gunk could really hit the spot right now. That spot being the dead center of your gastric evacuation gland. Your neighbor's hive is pretty choice, you have to admit. You like your hive, but sometimes you wish you'd been a little older than freshly pupated when the carpenter droids demanded you designed it. If you had to do it over again, you'd obviously have included more rumpus rooms. Tensions are already a little high around here, what with the raid and everything. You don't want to freak your neighbor out by charging over there with your Q-bat raised. Hey, what's the deal with that box, huh? Standing on your gander... You know, it's kind of silly, but standing on your gander precipice has always given you a reassuring sense of permanence. No matter how bad things get, it'll always be there, lifting you slightly above the dangers of the world. Now's not the right time for gandering on your gander precipice. You'll definitely get some good gander time in later, though. Your mightiest swing wouldn't even chip it. Your gander precipice is just that immutable. Permanent. Unbreakable. It will last 10,000 sweeps. Even if you were capable, you would never use your psychic powers to destroy your beautiful gander precipice. Wow. Seems like just a little while ago you were up on your gander precipice opening this package. And here you are, just a little while later, several feet lower. I guess you could have just jumped from the balcony and saved some time, but, you could say it was because you didn't want to attract the attention of any drones flying past, but they seem to have moved away from your particular area for a brief moment. I guess you just plain didn't think of it. Gander precipices are not edible. Well, maybe if it were in smaller pieces, but you refuse to entertain even that awful, impossible notion. Your gander precipice is a great stage, but now's not really a great time. You aspire to be as soaring and triumphant on the velvet, like your beautiful, resplendent gander precipice. Maybe one day. On any other night, you'd be kicking back up there on your gander precipice right about now, tipping back a nice room temperature grub juice. Not tonight, though. Tonight you have a Joey alien to save. Grub juice is way better than that nasty claw gunk, of course. It's not even up for debate, although it's mostly because publicly expressing a preference for a brand other than the one the heiress currently endorses would be punishable by culling. Whew. Your playbook encourages you to practice kneeling, just in case the heiress ever shows up to a game you're playing in. You feel kind of sick when you read that. She wouldn't be a great audience even if she were here, which you're very glad to say she isn't. Claw gunk is gross, no matter how you ingest it. The heiress hasn't done any officially licensed Flart modules, luckily. If she did, everyone would have to play them, and you know they'd just be about how great she thinks she is. Ugh. Your telekinesis is far too weak to bring down this billboard, which is just as well since it's probably not a great idea to call attention to yourself right now. Murderous drones flying all around, remember? You seem to have escaped the notice of the drones swarming around nearby. Swinging your cube at the likeness of the heiress would change that pretty quick. Your neighbor's hive is pretty far away. You don't really have any kind of psychic potency at this range, or, at all, really. Your neighbor is probably plenty hydrated and also probably cowering for their life if they know what's good for them, which you apparently don't. Your neighbor doesn't play arena stickball, which might be why you've never really been all that close to them. But then again, Tetrarch doesn't play either, so, maybe you just don't like your neighbor all that much. Your neighbor isn't a big fan of your band, possibly because they don't know you're in one. You don't really talk to them much. Tetrarch does not like it. It's not really the best time to be borrowing a spoonful of tube fluoro shavings. Oh, that sounds kind of fun. Maybe after you help the alien trapped in Tetrarch control room, the two of you can play a nice game of Flarp with your neighbor. What a pleasant end that would be to your evening. You live in hope. It looks like it might be some kind of software box. Oh! Scratchware received. All future messages to and from this device are protected from third-party surveillance. As a special one-time offer, all past messages are protected as well. Do you agree that you are already subject to the terms of service? I am vaguely unsettled by all of this. Is that a little green lock in the corner? I'm vaguely unsettled by all this. No! Hello? Hey, Joey? It's Joey, right? Yeah, that's right. And you're Xerox. Actually, no, I'm Zephyros. Zephyros. Yeah, I can speak. Oh, oops. Are you okay? What's going on? I thought we weren't supposed to talk. Yeah, something weird happened, though. I think it's safe now. What do you mean? Real quick, do you have a green and white symbol on your chat window now? Oh, hey, yeah, that wasn't there before. Okay, I think we're safe then. To chat anyway? Okay, good. I still don't quite get what the danger is, but I guess I'm going to need to trust you if I have any hope of getting out of here. Well, some bad news on that front. A missile hit my hive, and I'm buried under the debris in my long ring. A missile? I heard a big heavy thump a minute ago. Is that related? Yeah, that was probably the missile that nearly killed me. You need help way more than I do right now. I don't want to be a bother, but I was about to say something to those effects. Or, I mean, I was gonna say I'm sorry I can't help you anymore, and we're both stuck waiting to find out if the flames or the drones will reach us first. Nuts to that! I'm gonna save you. Aren't you stuck? I was! But that missile knocked some boxes over that I don't think I could have moved on my own, so in a weird way, it kind of helped. Boxes? Yeah, they were blocking a vent shaft. I'm gonna climb up there and see where it leads. Wow, you're kind of like a real-life action hero? Wow! Oh, shucks! I want to help you just the way you were gonna help me. And you were putting yourself at a lot more risk than I realized. I repeat. I've been meaning to ask, what the heck does that mean? Yeah, I know, I already have that achievement, don't worry. Oh, you can use numbers and letters to make a little face. Tetrarch Damek told me he likes it when I smile. We have those where I'm from, but I don't know what the X means. Oh, those are my horns. Your horns? Yeah. Like the guy on the screensaver. I think so. It's probably not me, though. But those are real? Do you not have horns? I thought they were out of frame. No, I don't have horns. Jeez, what a question. That's so weird. And cool. You really are an alien. I never thought I'd meet one. Well, today's your lucky day. Or, I mean, it really seems not to be that. But you understand what I'm going for here. Yeah, I think so. I'll be over there as quick as I can, so apply pressure to the wounds and try not to move too much. It's okay. The weight of the rubble crushing my body is pressing down on my wounds and preventing me from moving at all. Man, Xerox. Buddy, we've really got to work on your concept of what's okay. The huge monitor seems to be all set for weird energy, which is what this cube positively radiates. Hopefully not literally, but almost certainly literally. Also... Ah! You've been pinned by the ruins of your destroyed Gander precipice. You think. You can't really see all that well at the moment. Luckily, it seems your body shielded your tablet from the rubble. Hooray! Ow! Ouch! Ouch. You try, but it's too heavy. Snorlax is working on it, but at the rate he's going, it might be old age that does you in. The sketchy diagram. Wait! Whoa, hey! It actually does seem to have some kind of power source. You guess? You're not 100% on this. It's a sketchy diagram in an alien language of a double crocodile teleporter. You're not exactly an expert. Called it a crocodile. Very Captain Hook. Byers, you silly little angel. You can't run on alien power. You sprinkle just a little pinch of spice onto the power cell. It vaporizes immediately. You think you should probably find a place to put this pretty quick instead of just holding it in your bare hands all night? The two seem to be based on entirely different technology. For instance, the alien one is glowing. Wild. With utmost gravitas, you carefully place a pog directly on the metal of a power cell. Nothing happens. This would be a good solution to some kind of problem that necessitated an animal eating this power cell. You don't have one of those problems, though, so it's kind of a crappy solution. Don't step on this thing, it looks important. Also, it might kill you if you do that. Maybe it even lives here? You don't know a dang thing about this place. You admire this small device's ability to house such power and potential. It reminds you of yourself. You started calling this bizarre energy cube a power cell after deciding the word battery wasn't nearly cool enough. You don't see any place to put this weird glowing cube, which is just fine since you don't want that door to open up anyway. You hope that this weird little cube isn't also full of all that twisty business. All that twisty business up there, on the screen, in the thing. A vent shaft was revealed that the missile strike knocked over some boxes. Well, when that missile strike knocked over some boxes, you could probably fit inside if you had to. And we have arrived. Hey, I made it through the vent shaft. Wow. That's pretty exceptional. Oh. Oh gosh, thank you. It was a little creepy and, in retrospect, fairly dangerous. Or shall I say it was more dangerous than I expected? I would rather it didn't, honestly. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's okay, but typing quirks are sort of... I've noticed you don't really have one, but they're kind of a thing that's exclusive to you, you know? I mean, it's okay if they're used occasionally by someone you're close to. No offense, but I don't know you all that well yet. Ah, I see. Well, I am sorry. I will know better from now on. No, I'm probably being weird about it. I'm sorry. You had no way of knowing. Zephyros, it's okay to tell people when they do something that bothers you. Better to express how you feel than sit on it forever while the other person has no idea. What kind of a foundation for a friendship would that be? Oh. Yeah, you're right. By the way, how much rubble are you covered in exactly? I'm not really sure how I'm going to get you out of there. That won't be too hard if you can find my hover pad. It's around there somewhere. I use it to move my Lucis around, but Tetrarch Damic borrowed it. To move some guns, I think. Maybe his drums. Ah, bad timing, haha. I mean, that was a couple of sweeps ago. I guess it's pretty much his now. You know what they say, your hive is my hive. Actually, that's mostly what the Tetrarch says as he's taking my stuff. Okay, that's nice, but where's this hover pad exactly? Oh, right, sorry. It's fine, I just don't want you to bleed to death or whatever while typing. I think it's probably still in the Tetrarch's loft above his respite block. Do you know where you are now? Not really, but... there are a ton of guns. Sigh. I don't want to make you anxious, but that describes, every block in Tetrarch's hive. Great. I'll message you when I've made some more progress, I suppose. Okay, yeah. I think I'm about to pass out from blood loss, so I'm gonna chill out for a little while. Hang in there. I'll find that hover pad soon. Alright, I am actually gonna call the thing here, although I will, as a special treat, send Byers back into the vent. You put Byers in the vent. After a while, he returns, with a new emptiness in his eyes. Time on the inside changed him. You realize this pigeon is now the toughest son of a bitch you've ever heard of. The rest of your adventure will be effortless child's play as your enemies are driven screaming before his fury, his fiery pinions falling like shell casings, a feathery staccato to the only elegy for the end of the world! The end of all worlds.